I never thought I'd live to hear the words that came out of my son's mouth that night. 17 years of being his dad, through scraped knees, sleepless nights, and birthday cakes with lopsided candles. And he looked me straight in the eye and said, "Dad, I want you to give up your parental rights. My stepdad wants to adopt me." It felt like the floor opened under me, like my entire existence as a father had just been erased with one sentence. Chapter 1. Memories that cut deep. There are moments you never forget. Holding my son for the first time, his tiny fingers curling around mine, teaching him how to ride a bike, running beside him while he screamed with joy and terror at the same time. The little league games where he struck out and cried, and I knelt beside him, telling him he was still my hero. But divorce changes everything. My marriage fell apart when he was 9. His mom and I couldn't make it work, and I'll admit I wasn't the perfect husband. But when the judge signed those papers, it felt like I lost more than a partner. I lost half of my son's childhood. At first, we still had our weekends, fishing trips, late-night pizza, movie marathons, but slowly things shifted. His mom met someone new, a man with more money, a bigger house, and the kind of stability I couldn't provide at the time. And I watched, helpless, as my son's laughter started belonging to another man. Birthdays where I was the extra guest. School concerts where the seat next to me was empty because he sat with his mom and stepdad instead. Little details, but they cut deeper than I ever admitted. Still, I held on. I told myself love doesn't need to compete, that being there, even in the background, was enough. Until the day he looked me in the eye and told me to let go.
Chapter 2. The Breaking Point. It was a Tuesday evening. He came over like usual, backpack slung over one shoulder, taller than me now with that restless teenage energy. I thought it was just another visit. We'd order takeout, maybe argue about homework, maybe laugh about something stupid on TV. But instead, he sat at the table, fidgeting with his phone, avoiding my eyes. Something heavy hung in the air. Finally, he said it. "Dad, I need to ask you something, and I don't want you to freak out." I forced a smile. "Go ahead." He swallowed hard, then blurted it out. "I want you to sign away your rights. Mom's husband, he wants to adopt me." The room spun. My chest tightened, like someone was squeezing the life out of me. I thought I misheard him. "What?" "It just makes sense," he said, quickly, like he was reciting a script. "He's the one who's been there for me. He takes care of me, pays for stuff, shows up. It's not like you're a bad dad, but..." I didn't hear the rest. The words, "sign away your rights," echoed in my head like a gunshot. I stared at him. This boy I'd once rocked to sleep, the boy I taught to throw a baseball, the boy who used to call me his hero, and now he was telling me I was replaceable. "Is that what you really want?" I whispered. He looked me dead in the eyes, his jaw tight. "Yeah. He's more of a father than you are." The knife twisted. I wanted to scream, to shout, to tell him he was wrong, but I couldn't. My throat closed, my vision blurred, and all I could do was sit there, silent, broken. After a few moments, he stood up. "I knew you'd make this hard," he muttered, then grabbed his bag and left. The door clicked shut, and with it, something inside me shattered. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, replaying every moment of his childhood, his first steps, his laughter on Christmas morning, the time he hugged me so tight after I surprised him with a dog. Had all of it meant nothing to him? Was I just a placeholder until someone better came along? I realized then that losing a marriage was nothing compared to losing your child. Divorce was paperwork. This was a death sentence to fatherhood. I poured a drink, though I hadn't touched alcohol in years. I stared at the photos on my wall, his smiling face frozen in time, and wondered if that was all I had left. I thought about giving in, about signing the papers just to give him what he thought he wanted. But deep down, even in the pit of despair, something in me screamed, I will not stop being his father. Still, that didn't stop the pain. Because no matter how much I loved him, that night, my son chose someone else.
Chapter 3. The Unexpected Knock. Months passed. Silence stretched between us like a canyon. No texts, no calls. I didn't even know if he was still coming over for weekends anymore. His mom stopped responding, and I didn't want to beg. I told myself maybe this was it. Maybe my son had made his choice, and I had to respect it. But deep down, every night, I left the porch light on, just in case. One rainy Thursday evening, there was a knock at my door. I opened it, and there he was, my son, soaked to the bone, backpack clinging to his shoulder, eyes red like he hadn't slept. For a moment, neither of us spoke. I just stared, afraid that if I blinked, he'd disappear again. Finally, he muttered, "Can I come in?" I nodded. He dropped his bag in the hallway and collapsed onto the couch. Silence filled the room, broken only by the ticking of the clock on the wall. Then he said it, voice trembling. "He doesn't want me." I frowned. "What do you mean?" He swallowed hard. "Mom's husband. He said he's not paying for college, that I'm not his real kid, that it's not his responsibility." His voice cracked. "He wanted to adopt me, but now that it costs money, suddenly I'm not worth it." I felt a surge of emotions, rage, sorrow, and, shamefully, a flicker of satisfaction. I'd warned myself this might happen, but hearing it out loud still made my chest tighten. I sat down across from him, trying to keep my voice steady. "Son, I know you're hurting, and I know things between us are complicated. But listen to me. You are worth everything. You always were." His eyes met mine, watery and unsure. For the first time in years, he didn't argue. Chapter 4. Building Bridges. The next few weeks were fragile, like walking on glass. He started coming over again. Not every day, but often enough that my fridge began to fill with his favorite snacks. At first, our conversations were short, awkward. He'd scroll on his phone while I cooked dinner, and I'd force small talk that went nowhere. But slowly, something shifted. One night, while working on his college essays, he looked up at me and asked, "Why didn't you fight harder for me after the divorce?" The question stabbed me straight in the chest. I put down my pen, took a breath, and told him the truth. I thought showing up quietly was better than fighting loudly. I thought if I kept loving you from the sidelines, you'd know I was still there. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should have fought harder. He stared at me for a long time. Then, softly, he said, "I thought you just gave up. That broke me." "No, son," I said, my voice cracking. "I never gave up on you. Not for a single day." Something in his expression softened. For the first time since he was a little boy, he let me hug him. He didn't pull away. From then on, things began to heal. We worked on scholarship applications together, stayed up late brainstorming essay topics. I helped him practice interviews. I drove him to campus tours, even when it meant taking time off work. And little by little, the walls between us started to crumble. One night, after we'd been laughing about some old memory, how he once tried to build a treehouse and nearly broke his arm, he looked at me and said quietly, "Maybe I was wrong about you." I froze, my throat tightening. But I didn't push him. I just smiled and said, "I'm glad you're here now." Epilogue: Fatherhood without conditions. Life isn't a movie. There wasn't some big Hollywood moment where he suddenly called me dad again and everything was fixed. But there were smaller moments. A text that said, "Thanks for the help today." A hug before he left for school. A phone call when he got accepted into his first choice college. I still don't know if the scars will ever fully fade. I don't know if one day he'll resent me again. But I do know this: fatherhood isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. When he tried to replace me, I almost gave in. But love doesn't disappear because someone else steps into the picture. Blood, history, and unconditional devotion, they matter more than money, more than titles, more than signatures on legal papers. I may not be the father he thought he wanted, but I will always be the father he needs. And no matter how far he drifts, one truth will never change: I will never stop being his dad.